The year was 1898. A cold October dusk had settled over the English countryside when Eleanor Marsh, a young historian from London, arrived at the ancient Ashcombe Manor. Her carriage rolled slowly through a misty forest path, the sound of horses' hooves echoing through the fog. The old iron gates creaked open as if protesting her arrival. Ahead, the manor stood like a ghost from another century, ivy crawling up its stone walls, windows dark as empty eyes, and smoke drifting weakly from a forgotten chimney. When Eleanor stepped down, the rain had just begun to fall. The chill in the air clung to her gloves as she approached the front doors. Inside, the scent of damp wood and candle wax filled her lungs. The vast hallway was lined with portraits of long-dead ancestors, their faces frozen in time. The flicker of the candelabra made their painted eyes glimmer eerily, as though they were watching her move. A distant grandfather clock struck 8, its echo rolling through the corridors like a heartbeat. Every step Eleanor took was swallowed by the silence of the house. Somewhere deep within, a door creaked, faint but deliberate, as if the manor itself had awakened to her presence. That night, as her candlelight trembled on the old walls, Eleanor realized something. Ashcombe Manor was not merely abandoned. It was waiting. That night, over supper, the old housekeeper Mrs. Wren tells Eleanor that the east wing of the manor has been sealed for decades. She warns softly, "Don't go there after midnight, miss." That's when she walks again. When Eleanor asks who, Mrs. Wren merely lowers her gaze and whispers, "The lady in the portrait." Eleanor smiles politely, but a shiver crawls down her spine. Curiosity leads Eleanor to the east wing the next afternoon. Dust covers everything, except one thing, a large, perfectly preserved painting hanging at the end of the corridor. It shows a woman, Lady Agatha Ashcombe, wife of the manor's long-dead lord. She's beautiful, but unsettling, her pale skin luminous against her black gown, and her eyes almost alive. When lightning flashes outside, Eleanor thinks, just for a second, that the painted head moved slightly toward her. At exactly 12:03 a.m., a faint whisper wakes her. "Finish what he started." The voice is female, soft, trembling, and unbearably close. Her lantern flickers. The air smells faintly of turpentine, like old paint. She rushes to the east wing and gasps. The portrait is gone. Only a faint outline remains where it once hung. At exactly 12:03 a.m., a faint whisper wakes her. "Finish what he started." The voice is female, soft, trembling, and unbearably close. Her lantern flickers. The air smells faintly of turpentine, like old paint. She rushes to the east wing and gasps. The portrait is gone. Only a faint outline remains where it once hung. The haunting began quietly, like a breath in the dark. At first, Eleanor Marsh thought it was exhaustion, long nights, too much reading, too many shadows. But soon the house began to move when no one was near. Footsteps echoed in the corridors long after midnight, slow and deliberate, as if someone unseen was pacing the wooden floors. Candles flickered violently whenever she passed, and mirrors fogged from within, showing faint figures just behind her shoulder, gone the moment she turned. The air inside Ashcombe Manor grew colder each night. The faint scent of turpentine and decayed flowers drifted through the halls, the unmistakable odor of oil paint and death. One night, as Eleanor climbed the east staircase, she saw it, a shape at the far end of the hall. It was Lady Agatha, the woman from the vanished portrait. Her face was pale as ivory, her skin cracked like dried paint, and her eyes glistened wetly as if painted moments ago. "You opened the door." The voice was neither loud nor whispering. It was inside Eleanor's head. The walls began to weep thin red streaks, like paint bleeding from an unseen brush. Every portrait turned its eyes toward her, and Eleanor finally understood. The house itself was alive, and she had awakened it. When the villagers finally reached Ashcombe Manor, 3 days had passed since anyone had heard from Eleanor Marsh. The sky was grey and heavy, the air thick with the smell of rain and old paint. Mrs. Wren, the aging housekeeper, led the men through the main hall, her hands trembling, her eyes wet with dread. The manor was deathly silent. The clocks had stopped, The candles melted into puddles, and the portraits seemed dull, as if drained of their color. They called out for Eleanor, their voices echoing down the empty corridors. No reply, only the faint dripping of water somewhere deep within the east wing. As they entered the forbidden hall, a chill passed through everyone. The massive portrait of Lady Agatha had returned to its frame. But something was different. Lady Agatha was no longer alone. Beside her stood Eleanor, her face painted with lifelike horror, her eyes wide and glistening, identical to Agatha's. The brushstrokes were fresh, the paint still wet, glimmering faintly under the dim light. Mrs. Wren gasped and whispered, "She's finished what he started." Outside, the wind howled across the moors, and the doors of the manor shut on their own, sealing the curse once more until the next curious soul arrived. Some stories aren't written. They're painted in fear. Ashcombe Manor still stands, silent, watching, waiting, and inside that cursed portrait, two souls remain. Lady Agatha and Eleanor Marsh. They say if you stare long enough, the eyes in the painting will blink, whisper, "Don't look away, she's right behind you." Greater than, some souls never leave the canvas. Subscribe for more haunted tales and cinematic horror stories, new nightmares every week.